So, are there any questions? Maybe we pick one from there. Les.
And I just wanted to get some clarification. When we're talking about purification, are we saying that positive karma can cancel out negative karma even in this life?
Tini tandangan zo nyap de shakba che ji ros. Shakba che di na la nganzo gi khari la gi la ngo sebo ya bo tsema sonsra. Kurangi ko do lendang la chenasra. Ani le gewe le ji gi isra. Me gewe le ji pa chom du gi res. Di la gi re ana khari la gi res.
shaba jesena da sozo bi nongcho de de la nguli de chini pena migi niba chachin de cheshayna ani niba di karres na ni du cheson se shaba che tam de sheshi bo bo jambo de sidi da se ati niba di karres na no ti de machi li de la pe jeson chibu ni sheji niba chachin che sa si jeson chibu to ku so da jeson chibu so ra 이번 가르쳐서 다 들리기 이번에 답이 치대 어느 소소기 지금 사회에 주바 뭐와 엄지 주바 뭐와 가르치고 있는 들리기가 답이 치지 선거지 우리 가르쳐는 이번에 친지 니저 들리 준 미제 야비 들리고 공부도 같이 약 수수기 리지에 되는 농촌 일을 같이 얘기 치대는 이번에 봐야 치 아니 샤먼지에 대해서는
So, not exactly cancelling out, but that negative karma can be overcome by positive karma. But what we are talking about when we are talking about the purification process, then it starts first. It's a four-step process. There is the reliance, then there is the regret, then there is the remedy, and then there is the resolve. So what exactly does that mean? These are called the four powers, and the four powers in the process of purification. So reliance, in the sense, reliance on cultivating an altruistic intention or generating an altruistic intention, and reliance on the three jewels of refuge, and then regret. Now this is important. Regret in the sense that you develop an intense regret in knowing that you have done something wrong, and this regret should be so intense that what will your reaction be if you knew that you had consumed poison? So it should be the regret should be as intense as the knowledge that you had consumed poison, and then knowing that with that sense of regret, then you begin to apply the antidotes in your actions following that, all the actions following that. Then you apply the complete opposite of that, which are the antidotes: practicing generosity, being more kind, open, and so forth. And then, of course, there are ritual aspects to it, making prostrations and so forth. And then finally, you develop a resolve not to engage in such an act ever again. So this is the manner in which you can begin to purify your karma. Yes. 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 Yeah.
So maybe Geshela can talk about long, like burnout. Maybe some information about it, how it's happening, what to be aware of.
Burnout. Tene koi tiyo di Geshela gi isra. Tandang anzo ta lega do mambo che tenara. Tang che ejik ligi doas bet. Lega che tane bet tang che ejik ligi doas. Tende enda kuranzo dende kola sra. Ani donglen khande che gore sra. Digola chik song tona yakbo do sra. Pena chashana dende do da susu lega che taga na sra. Kari la sab che gore sra. Dende bet koro tang che 소소베다 아지우도 근데 차게 도왔어. 근데 마차에서로 가리로 도낭 채고래. 아니 간데스 동네 채고래스. 어디.
제가 단 소속이 리가라고 지와이나 찌도 가르에서는 소속이 생각 community가 기침으로 차리고 지 소속 미유 장하고 대형 기침을 지리니까 쪼라고 돼 가르에서 소속 생각 community 찌찌 찌디 가르에서는 아주 쪼라고 가르에서 소속이 매직이 디에통하고 기치시시 그리고 가르에서는 디에통하고 기치시라고 지치고 기침을 차리고 진짜 리가라 재미 가도라지 성노 community라고 주주적으로 지하라고 제 리가 지해야 되나 저거를 다 대로 차는 거래 가르에서는 하도 체력이 맞더니 리가 제대로 있나 아니 수고나 가르에서는 리가 제약이 슈바 딜리지 강치 그런 거 제도 리가 가면지 지와이나 소소 성과 community와도 소소 수고기 따블라 인바도 다시 지고야 돼 기치시다고 지고 잘 미뤄서가 리가 지금 가도라 카도 싸움 좀 만들어 가지고 구자리 루트는 성과 community와도 소소 수고나 다시 지나 이게 주수지 니말에 주수 가서 지금 숨쉬 마 가서 지금 그렇지 왜 하든가 주수 중간 주도 둘이 되어야나네 배 주도 무중이 또 강아지 쉬지고 봐 카도 싸움은 강아지 비스 구자리 루트는 수수기 수국이 대형이 기치시라고 자기가 해서 두리고 돌아는 무슨 시고야 저기 어느 성과 community가 어떻게 됐지
So I think burnout results from a very short-sighted approach towards work. And when we say we experience burnout, I think the burnout that we really experience is more emotional. Of course, it manifests itself in the form of physical burnout too, tiredness and everything. But the real type of burnout that we feel is an emotional sense of burnout. And I say that it comes from a short-sighted approach towards work because I think first we need to be open-minded with the approach that we have towards our work. That open-minded towards the approach that we have because if we are not open-minded, then we begin to sacrifice our own well-being, our own physical well-being, emotional well-being, in order to achieve something. And this stems from the fact that you disregard that there needs to be a balance between physical well-being and emotional and mental well-being. And this is the reason why I say it is a short-sighted approach that results in burnout, because you kind of keep doing what you can until the moment you feel like you cannot do anymore, and then that's when you say that you feel burned out. And now, if from the outset we had like an open-minded approach, a far-sighted approach towards our work, then we wouldn't reach that stage wherein like we have sacrificed our own well-being in order to achieve something, and then as a result we begin to suffer more when even if we achieve it or not, we begin to suffer more. This is why it is a short-sighted approach. So from the outset, to have an open-minded approach towards our work, wherein we stress the importance of consistency, small, consistent effort, rather than doing it all at one go and giving everything and then feeling burnout. Then also to understand the importance of emotional and physical well-being, the balance of emotional and physical well-being. If we understand that, then we can develop an attitude towards work which is not so short-sighted.
추즈라고 집이 가도 생각하면서 공연도 좀 지어라고 이나 아니 어제 따라 되게 좀 누구시 누가 맞이나 지금 맞지 제고를 지어야 되는 가르쳐서는 지 조금 미공 다시 지어야지 장면에서
So then, a very kind of sensible approach that we can take towards avoiding burnout is first to take care of our body well, to ensure that our physical well-being is secured. And this is particularly important because we kind of fail to realize that in the pursuit of something. And if we cannot live without working. We have to earn a means of livelihood. We have to earn a livelihood and so forth. So then, our physical well-being is the basis upon which we can continue to work or continue to earn a livelihood. So if we sacrifice that in the pursuit of a livelihood, then how does that make sense? It doesn't make sense at all. So it is important, I think, from the outset to have a sensible approach in the manner of taking care of your body well first, and then to adopt an attitude towards work which is open-minded, not short-sighted. So if we fail to appreciate that, then there comes a time wherein we have sacrificed our physical well-being and we are not able to do any more work at all. Yes.
Can I just add on?
네가 술눈 채나디기레스 그랑 라기어디가.
I was a counselor in my life before I became a nun, so I had often to do with burnout situations. And what I would shortcut it to the point that it's mostly not the amount of work which causes the burnout, but the lack of sense someone finds in the work, so that the work doesn't fit with the personal values. This is often the cause for burnout.
디 그랑 디 니마 주마 마찬가지네 니 롭스장이기 내가 지게 요스라 디나니 디게자디 망고 용거랬다 내가 지에치네 배 탕체로 해지도미 니네 망고 용거레스 디나 도난 가르 중소라 나스라 내가 망타네 탕체교 라디레 타가스라 수수기 되바낭싱 내가 지어라 딤 제 말아상스라 아니 탕체교기 초어데 빼슉좀 몰리기도 왔어 수수 셈낭라 지 린다 침부지 얘기지 직쳐 내가 로지라 디수수기 제 말하고 디 내가 디다 딱다 되기면 하스라 되네 이니 이당치에 라이들리기도 왔어. Yes. Questions? 괜찮은데. 제가 말해 네 뭐랑기 될라 콜린스. So I really appreciate this sharing, and I think that it is impossible for me to answer all the questions effectively, me being just one person. So I think if you have such similar experiences and such similar insights in any of the discussions, then I would encourage everyone to share these insights and experiences. So I was about to make this point in the sessions before, but I forgot. So I think I'll make the point now again, that if we discuss it among ourselves, maybe the answers that we are looking for, we can find it among the group itself. So So then many of us are quite experienced people in your own professional space. So me, who does not have any experience in a professional setup, corporate setup, even if I try to address these things, I don't think they will be really effective. Question?
So, we spoke about greed being a root cause of suffering, and I do comprehend that to an extent. But is it wrong to be conditionally greedy? Let's say, for example, athletes, successful businessmen, let's say Bill Gates, Shah Rukh Khan, who's possibly the widest recognizable face from India. These people are someone today because they had the greed, the grit, the hunger to do something, to be more. So is it wrong to have that same greed or hunger?
Tini kurangi tiyo di kasanganzo migi doba la jora. Dila ni gongya di kabore la rwa. Ni migi doba dongam di ni dungye mangboji ki jure lan songro was. Ina yansira chen la tene ni susu dongam la di chewa tsam ki isra dungye jula jurgyo ebe nyeba eyo isra. Kain la na tsemo tsekhen du sus tadasra. Tena shi longye tamye eni mina kera chenpo do ta pena chashana kogi tanda chukbo Bill Gates la edo do yora. Tena shi ta jaga nala samlo tangna longye tamye ko Shah Rukh Khan la yora. Tezo sangma ani koso to kosa dende doji la leya la sra. Ani sem nonglo la deba doji yora ta. Deba digi chenji ya le jora was konzo. Ani te samgi ani ko dunye ki jula jurgi eyos ditiwa ditingut.
제가 가서 세디에 데바티에 괜히 시여요 와서 데바티 가르르스면 까마디 가지 좀 연구를 소속이 쌈도 생긴 되게 위만 되게 아니 까마디 연구를 했어요 나도 데바 가가 문제를 했으면 뒤듯이 자유를 제일 말했어 근데 맞선지 공부도 되고 세디 데바도 보고 그랬어 니 도주 제고서 데바도 보고 그랬어 데바 가가 기 수준에 대해 말했어 가정이 되시 제일 봤어 근데 이 수준이 타고 또 제고도 나는 이제 도주 제고도 döbate kanga jere seyo chalo to kar chalo se ayina soso bin döbi gibi yuti madra bayina ani de jawanda bachina karasena de jawa sheba da bachi soso gibi yuti madra bayina döba kon döba to gibi yuti madra bayina o tiri kanga de ni di yungu resi de shi de jalo ma döba kanga de ni kanga jere se de sigiyo maresi no.
So then I think if we remember the discussion we had about this particular topic, I specifically said that there are different ways in which desire manifests itself. So the desire which brings us suffering is the desire wherein we begin to project set expectations onto situations, and when things don't turn out the way we wish it to be, then we begin to suffer. But then a desire in itself cannot. But desire in itself, for example, desire to become enlightened, desire to do well in your studies, in itself cannot be taken as a cause of suffering, because we need that kind of desire, that kind of aspiration to do well in our studies, to inculcate positive qualities of the mind. The kind of desire that causes suffering for us is the kind of set expectations that we already have in our mind, and then we project these set expectations onto a situation, onto a relationship, and that's when we begin to suffer. So of course, if our desires are fulfilled, then we are happy, because if there is someone who really likes playing football, and then he desires to play football, and he goes and he's able to actually play football, then his wishes are fulfilled, and he's very happy that his desire to play football is fulfilled. But what happens when he insists that even if what happens when he insists that he has to play football even when the conditions are not right, and then he begins to suffer a sense of disappointment on the fact that he didn't get to play football.
What is enlightenment?
Hmm.
And what is life? And what is death?
Tiodir sanje la jora sanje la di karelap yores tini ani chiwa la jora chiwa da sön la ne nishi yoras ta chiwa la na karela yores sön la na karela yores.
다 산지 소화에나 가르레 소화에나 가서 성수에 된지가 다 가르레스나 준 리라부도 가서 과도 올라와요 성수에 준기리 차 단지 바 성도 와 있어 성수는 내가 자료가 되려 성수는 준기리 바 성도 되지 지스야디 시주로리야 지바 되라 아니 지스는 야 공부해 되려 시주로리야 지로가 되리 지스그리 성수에 준기리 바 손이 다 산지를 준기리 준이 미리 아니 연định 차도 공부 말이야 준기리 매바도
So then, when we look at the word enlightenment in the Tibetan, then it's two words, sang and ge. So sang means to clear, and what exactly is being cleared? All the kind of afflictive obscurations, all the kind of negative qualities of the mind is being cleared, and ge means to develop further, and to development of all the good qualities of the mind. So we can understand sang enlightenment as the abandonment of all afflictive as well as cognitive obscurations and the development of all good qualities of the mind. Chiwa da suwa da na ti chiris. So death is defined as that moment when the consciousness leaves the body of this life. So life is that period in which the consciousness inhabits the physical body.
आप मुझे enlightenment का part हिंदी में explain कर सकते हैं
हिंदी में हिंदी नाला सांगेला इचिक दिशे जरोची दसरा बुद्धा हाँ So in the Tibetan translation of the word Buddha, someone who is enlightened, then the etymology that is cited in the translations cite that Buddha, the word itself, means someone who has developed or cultivated all the positives or qualities of the mind to their perfection. So since I don't speak Hindi, Geshela is saying I cannot effectively communicate this in Hindi. Okay. So then I would encourage you to, since you can read Hindi, you can read English, and since now you know the Tibetan translation of that same very word, so I would encourage you to see what it means in Hindi from the original Sanskrit, and then see how it is translated into English as well, and see how these three translations can offer you an idea about what enlightenment really means.
저도 지금이 부다스 에티기 쓰는 미도 대다시 시시티라고 쓰는 미도 어떤 주의라고 요이나 아니 이 제다야 야고도 와서 저기 부다스 산지스 그지 성세 주의스 지스 연디그리 기와데 그지 아니면 그것도 누구이더라 그런 거 그리고
So I'm sure that many of you read a lot. So I'm sure among the group itself, if there are anyone who has anything to say about the term Buddha or the term enlightenment, if anyone would like to share, then I think it will be very helpful for the group, because this is how it is translated in Tibetan, the term enlightenment. The clearing away or the abandonment of all afflictive and cognitive obscurations, and the development or the development of all the good qualities of the mind to their perfection.
सर मैं आपको पूछ रही हूँ कि आपने जो टिबेटन उन्होंने दी एक्सप्लेनेशन आप इसे हिंदी में ट्रांसलेट कर सकते हो, बिकॉज मैंने बिफोर इट्स मच
Mm.
Let me try cognitive
हाँ आप मेरे को
obscuration.
ट्रांसलेट कर सकते हो सर के
So
जैसा आप
basically कहते हैं कि जब आप सभी अपने सभी मानसिक विकारों से निवृत्त हो जाते हैं तब आपने निर्वाणा प्राप्त होता है. So that is the main point. So I was
Yes,
just saying
yes.
that when you're devoid of all the afflictions, mental
Yes,
afflictions,
yes.
that's when you
Uh,
reach.
that's one
Mental.
विप्लव या सो दूसरा चीज़ है जब आप अपने अंदर सारी अच्छाइयाँ मानसिक अच्छाइयाँ जब आप उत्पन्न कर लेते हैं तब आपको निर्वाणा मिलता है. सो बेसिकली सारे विकारों से निवृत्त हो जाते हैं, सारी अच्छाइयाँ आप प्राप्त कर लेते हैं, तब आप निर्वाणा को पा लेते हैं. Nirvana is different, it's different, is it? So
Not nirvana, enlightenment.
I think it's moksha prana.
moksha.
Yeah. No, 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 not moksha. Moksha is nirvana.
So
Enlightenment. Enlightenment, how would you say? In Hindi, what would be the.
I don't know what is the Hindi word for the Buddhahood. Buddhood, हाँ. Buddhood, yeah.
Mm.
Buddhiman.
Buddh के?
It's derived from Buddhiman, if I'm not wrong.
I think Buddhiman is derived from Buddha. So can you define cognitive obscuration, Geshela?
다 단단한 조 시딥다 윤딥래 저라스. 시딥래 디직듯이 저러는다스.
아래 시브르도 뉴럽스야 다데 시지 접아서는 다데리 가르스네 내가 뉴럽스야 데 리라부자게 있는 다가도 가르스는 조르버데 타바토발라 아니 공기기 아니 공자 기디 솔라 가르스는 뉴럽스야 다다 도도럽시 데라고 자 배나 녀모마도도 녀모한테 기샤도 바차로 무지도 지와이나 제가 뉴럽스네 가르스 그러는 타바토발라 아니 니바도 공부야 이 줍디야 타바토발라 줍디야 니바도 공부야 이 아니 동작이 돼서 가르레스는 뉴럽스야 돼 차그레스 뉴럽스야 돼 아까 천지자원 가르스는 니모도 니모티기 샤베 바차 두두도 같이 차그레스.
So then, I think we will discuss both afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. So first, afflictive obscurations are the obstacles that we need to overcome and abandon in order to at least achieve liberation or moksha, to achieve liberation. So this is what we mean by afflictive obscurations, and an example. If we are asked to give an example of afflictive obscurations, then they are specifically the afflictions themselves and the imprints these afflictions leave on the mind. So we need to overcome these afflictions and the imprints of the afflictions on the mind in its entirety to achieve liberation.
다 시듭스는 와다 거리지나 차도 조 탐지치 산지주 공부터 같이 봐 타바다 타지치고 니지 소 타지치고 또 봐라 아니 그 누가 치고 바치치고 일이 돼서라 아니 가르쳐 차그래서 아니 시지 좀 봐. 시도 보세요. 도지가 잘 있어요.
So then, if afflictive obscurations are the obstacles, the main obstacles to achieve liberation, then cognitive obscurations are the main obstacles that needs to be overcome in order to achieve perfect enlightenment. Yes.
I just had two clarifications.
Mhm.
Geshela mentioned if one orders someone else to do a negative act,
Mhm.
only 2 out of 4 factors happen. I don't know, I get all 4 because there's still a basis, there's still a person, this person, right? And then there is that intention, recognition of this person and the affliction, wanting to kill, and ask somebody else to do, so there's the action. And
But you are not doing it yourself.
so which one does it not fulfill?
The last two.
Action and the completion.
Dilagir.
Because you have asked somebody else to do it.
Yes.
So it becomes part of their karma as well.
Yes, yes. So not strictly 2, 3, 2, 1, depending. Dilagir da nanga zo shi samba jo tardu la jora. Kisi mijila kuwa dang ne chue ne ra. Ani chikchi la nasra. Ani shida samba tsangwa da waya. Yang jorwa dang tardu ma tsangwa do. Tende yongsigi ro as. Ngay tende yongsigi re la imba mola. Moy la na shiya sang du la ge ya. Shiya tsangwa da kabo re la imba.
됐다 좀 그냥 가서 내지어라 나가는 저도 공부하는 법을 이번다고 쓰이라 지어라 되게 가르쳐서는 그런 수야 되는 려마라 그런 수야 돼 중요한 말에 니시스야 돼 총무는 통문도 니시스야 돼 총무도 대는 시기 유머라서 같이 저자도 저도 다시도 드리고 집에 데려서는 말해요.
So then we can think simply about this example. When we are walking about, then we inadvertently like step on insects, and there is you do not see it, and then you step on them and you kill them. So in that action, the intention is missing, and not only the intention is missing, the recognition, which forms a strong basis of the intention developing, is missing because we didn't see it. So you can, in this manner, you can apply it to all of the non-virtues and begin to understand that there are many cases wherein many of these requirements are not met.
And with suicide, there is a basis there, right?
Yes.
It's the self. So the self can be a basis. There is the intention to and recognition, this is yourself, you want to kill yourself. You act on it and you complete it. So is that not a complete act?
딱 딜라기어 속 랑소제지라 랑소제 아니 가서 속주버기지 니바여로 왔어. 다 이나야 니나라니 시 좋아 삼바타르도 시부디 강가 창기 요래 말했으라 모랑기 삼는 땅나 창기 두스라 시디 수수를 강사티 차기라스 삼바디 수수세기 굴론디로스 아니 디니 조와디 응외수세디로스 아니 또 타르도디야 아니 저디 줍줍기요로스
제도 될 수기 미시에 되나 가르치 버렸으면 런이 시험봐 자도 왔어. 런이 시험봐 계획 말로 왔어.
So then when we look at the basis, the way it is defined in the act of killing, the basis is someone other than yourself.
So by definition, it is someone.
Yes. 생이 고랑나 마드나니 다랑 키기도 왔어.
일단 맛이 오는 친이기 수요제시도 그런 의미 친들이라 고하래지. 이는 요 소소소로 시지와에는 니바 요래서 니바 요래. 이는 요 미기지 노진 이제 sama jo ta cha su ri su ma de. 지도 이제 될 가르에서는 런이 시험봐. 용도. 마지막 리바 이는 미 나도 숨이지. 이제라 그 미스 마다 들고 왔어. 그래서 니바
So, in our contemplation about these things, I think it is very important to realize the importance of all these sides, all the sides in the definition themselves. Because if we fail to appreciate that, then we cannot begin to contemplate effectively. So, as we already know, as it became apparent that in the act of killing, for it to constitute an act of killing, the base the basis is someone other than yourself. And then that doesn't mean that the act of committing suicide does not entail any kind of negative karma. Of course, there is negative karma, but it doesn't meet the complete requirement of it to constitute an actual act of killing. And then similarly, when you look at the act of stealing, it is very clearly defined in the definition itself that something that which does not belongs to you. So we need to understand and appreciate the manner in which these are very specifically defined.
대도 드리거든. 나도 대도 맞아요. 가르는 거에서 와이는 수집에 바로 바로 가려서 바로 수용 가가 되고. 수용 가가 돼 소소기 맛이 바로도 수용 가고 그러면 그때는 님만 가고 지는 메시아가 치지 매도 지 도도 지 대셔와이나 그 맛이 보니 나도 시도와이는 세계도 시도와이는 내가 미기지 수집이 리지 무시 차통 주기로 해서 그런 거였어. 대형 가를 보고 그래서 수디 소소 맛이 바로도
So then, similarly, we need to pay attention to the rest of the three requirements too. So if you look at the completion in the act of killing, then it is specifically said in the text that for it, the completion of the act of killing must be that the person that you wanted to kill must die before you die yourself. For it to come into completion, the act of killing, and in that manner we understand that if it is the case that even if you order someone to kill someone else, and you yourself don't live long enough to see this act being completed, then it doesn't constitute a complete act of killing. Yes.
In the West now, it's becoming legal for assisted dying. And so, if you choose, say, I choose assisted dying because I'm suffering from a terrible disease and there is no cure and there is no hope of anything getting better, then I'm creating my own karma. And am I ripening karma at the time when the doctor has assisted me to die?
Am I ripening?
Am I ripening, am I creating the intention that this is the karma I'm taking with me, and I've got the right talk at the right time of die, that I have created this, I've planned this, I've done this, or is the karma then the doctor's?
Las tini tiwa dirta tizang nupchoki chizo nalasra ani suzu da shida chöyajido amjida menga dindela lanasra amjingyamda gijashe an suzu shiye ta chödudos ani dila ani shiye la yang ani mengangi roba chigyores suzu da kali mendo ja khabdo ja khande china yora subunala da ne nazaro mo shukchambo yena shira chödabdo menasra an suzu shiye shida chöna digyoresra 다 텐제 망보 대상 망보 요레스라 지상급 델라스라 다 시다 추드 좀바스라 아니 레딩아이 사기 요로스다 당아 굴롱디 차상와지 레기도 와서 당보 당아 시다 추송한 가랑가랑 시기라서 다 데더에 니 시다 추에기 레지요라 레사기라 굴롱데라 테네 레디 미야지요로스 팅가랑랑 미기르에스라 양나 ngal rokpa chigenki amji dindeyora am지도 줄라 민기르베스.
제도 다들 민자라는 시간을 문제. 그래서 내가 리디다 벌라도라. 제 소소 로미지 그 삼비기 돈이 이니까는 내가 리디지라. 하나 내가 사는 소소 로미지 되게 여러 때문에요. 시다라 갑지 안에 내가 세르지스 라데기지도. 얘네 중니자 돈이다. 그런 가르치는 리디를 받으니 니버지 용으로.
So I think euthanasia, in the form of seeking lethal injection, assistance from medical professionals, I think if we think carefully about it, both of them have a hand in this. So I think the karma has to be shared.
So it's like suicide.
It's like a suicide.
Mm.
You have planned,
Mm.
but you just haven't done the last bit.
Yes. Tene susu shida chue desra. Ta susu shidu yoras. Susu shidu de zamba tarduk la juda. Di susu gi ngun tonge marwasta. O tende doras. 수수수수 시다 추기로 와서 시다 추인데 잠반 수수수수 시에 통하여 말와서 라 제산 탈둑래디 용미시 와서들라
타도스야 네 통모도 되게 말해서 타도 가라서 시도도 뇌도 나시도 카타도 타도 줘서 되게 소소 통모도 되게 말해서
So then when we are talking about the completion of the act of killing, then the act of killing the completion of the act of killing is simply death itself. And death is the moment when the consciousness departs from the physical body. It doesn't matter whether someone lives to see it or not. If the consciousness departs from the body, then that's the act itself being completed.
대라 타도스야 바로 그 뇌도 수니 카카 가리체서는 이 타도 접사 대라 수 교발에 대 마지바 내마다 보이는 타도 제용 그만 잘라는 그서 있는 다만 탑선 수도가 돌로지 다른 건 탑선 수용이 마지바 내마다 되게 타도 접이래서는
So then, that is exactly what we mean by completion in the context of the act of killing. Death itself is the completion of the action. So similarly, when we think about stealing, completion is that sense of satisfaction that that you derive from being able to actually steal something and it being in your possession now.
다 대리는 네가 저 도파사에 지가려는 거였어. 이치다 보이는 파주부 미지 마다 쉬고 시다치는 민자부지 서이나 이제 코로나 가르쳤습니다. 다 가르쳐 버리기. 수교비는 차송 저기도 조금 문도 뒤돌아가면서 집에 가서 또 치수 사사라고 치. 대지 차도 와서. 거기다 그 수시 생활도 있다. 근데 코로나 부터 서이나 근데 파지 차송하지 전부 차도 문제. 이거는
So I think this is something that we can think further on and deliberate further on, because it is really kind of a morally very complex thing, euthanasia or assisted dying. So in the context of karma, this becomes very complex. So I think this can be further deliberated on, and I think we need to investigate this further to effectively understand the implications of how karma works in this context.
You're right, it is very complicated because the suffering is also like our deal. And maybe in a past life you've done something to bring this karma, and now you have the choice to take your own life or not to avoid the suffering. And the ultimate goal is to avoid suffering.
By dying. rir ta dilait de ningone nyokta chabo resra samlo jikta nasra nganzu junde namshang ngone samlo tangna pe nyokta chabo resra kailana tanda ne naza shiu bet swemadu ne naza jinna chumadu ne naza jinna nasra anita suzu shida chö dona esra dela samlo tangsa jido asra kajena sukhain de da nani dugi marwas chötab mejo sötab mejo naza dende yora ode
그래서 대량이 나다서 그때라 손을 통해서 그때는 메고지 있는이 근데 제 삼바 조와 타도 작은 주제기 지도 왔어 이는요 다 선동서 지가를 여기서 와이나 다 메고지 있는 가르서는 메고 수주비 메고가 되는 가르마 총선은 가진 누구서 내리게 나오지 강가 총대기 질라도 왔어 다 이는요 예번 제일 있다 이런 친구로 왔어 지금 파지디 거를 주주들이 치 순주들이 쓰시지 말에 파주 네발 뒤니 이거 세샤가 차로 왔어 있다고 뒤니 네발 용직이 차가 돼 요거를 얘는 그 기능은 아니 이제 서가 저 타도 가마 손세는 내자 가고 지고 뒤도는 이 집어시 당은 나도 제고야다 상무 공대야다 대자 그거에
So I think this needs further investigation, because if we think carefully about the situation, then it will be the case that this should not constitute a complete act of killing. But when we think about it, it fulfills all the requirements. There is a basis, intention, action, and all the completion. It fulfills all these requirements. But when we think about the moral implications in the context of how karma works, then it becomes even more complicated. Who takes the bulk of the blame in this situation? Is the doctor complicit in accommodating the wishes of the patient? So it becomes very complicated, and I think we need to further investigate this by referring to how the texts themselves talk about such situations, if there are any kind of precedents in the text which can offer us guidance on such complex moral situation. Hmm?
जो मैंने क्वेश्चन किया था
Hmm?
कि लाइफ क्या है, व्हाट
Hmm?
इज लाइफ, जो सर ने बोला, तो मैंने कहा कि जब कॉन्शियसनेस हमारी बॉडी में एंटर करती है,
एंटर एंटर करके जब तक रहता है वो लाइफ है.
या हाँ, तो वो जब तक रहता है, तो वो तो अवेयरनेस की बात हो गई. पर मैं ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि लाइफ तो अभी भी एट द मोमेंट हम लाइफ में हैं अभी भी, तो ये पूरा लाइफ का पर्सपेक्टिव क्या है देखने का.
What is the meaning of life? So,
हाँ, लाइफ क्या है,
मतलब मकसद क्या है?
जैसे होता नहीं, एक पॉइंट आ गया कि वो सफरिंग है, लाइफ सफर है, एंड हमारा जो हम किसी पॉइंट पे नहीं है कि कहाँ लाइफ क्या है.
I don't. 더 뭐, 저 메시라 시기다야. Right now, when you ask that question, जब आपने पूछा था life or death क्या है, तब हमने कैसा translate किया? जब आपने death बोला था ना, death बोला तो how do we define someone who is alive, and how do we define someone who is dead? This is the manner in which I have translated to him. Now it seems as if you are saying, when you say life, you are referring to life in general. Then metsele jora, metsele digi ngo kare, metsele digi di ngo kare le digi jatik da mogi, shi suyon le digi jatik minda tagi. Metse le jora, mi tse le jora. Ot. Dawu dawu ra.
다 데이터가 찾은 거라. 단 데이터 존나는데 저도 시간에 그때 집에 숙세야 다 데이터스 모빌리가 숙세야다 체세야다 소다 집어인 미세야. 근데 숙세야가 순이래 다다 순이 저도는 나시 띵거 이거 순이 체이 순이 체이 된도네 숙세야데 체이 된도네 나시도 아니 저거는 그때 이제 봤어. 순이 체이 저도 저도 나시그래 다 체스나 같이 내려고 차는 거 너도 지정선을 도와야나 저도 나시 거는 그때 이제 거잖아 순이 체이 저도는 아니 가래 나시 띵고 이거 순이 체이 저도 나시 띵고 무슨 수디 체이 가래서 와이나 아니 저도 나시 거는 게 아니 대지게 제라 아니 가래서 체스 그래서 자네 이거 체스 지정선을 도와야나 저도 나시 거는 그때 지게 제라 아니 체스
So then, from the Buddhist perspective, we wouldn't refer to life in such a general, abstract way. We are very strict in the way we define things. So life either has to refer to someone who is alive and their life, or life, if we are talking about generally, it strictly refers to lifespan when someone is alive. So then the lifespan if we are talking about lifespan, then we talk about life force and lifespan. And if we look at the Abhidharma Kosha, then lifespan is defined in this manner: that the life force is defined in this manner. It is the basis upon which heat, kasa
난시
That,
시바
it is the basis upon which the fire energy or the heat and the consciousness reside in. That is the life force, and lifespan is the duration in which these two elements of consciousness and the fire energy doesn't depart from each other.
Just one more point she was making is she was referring to one text from Buddha, some book, wherein Buddha says that life is suffering. So that's what she wants to understand what life is.
That,
Burnouts
that,
as suffering.
that, that's a bad translation. I think life is suffering.
बुद्धा की परसेप्शन हुई थी कि उन्होंने हर तरह से देख लिया लाइफ को कि अगर हम प्यार करते हैं तो वहाँ पे अगर हमारा लव्ड वन मर
Okay,
जाए
now let me get this straight. In that context, then would it be wrong to substitute the word life with existence or world?
maybe existence is what she means, like existing. So what she's saying that Buddha had seen everything. He saw suffering, he saw old age, he saw sorry I'm getting a little bit off my so he saw old age, he saw somebody who was severely ill and everything. So at the end, Buddha concluded saying that life is suffering. In the sense, existence when you're living, it's suffering. So throughout your life, you'll be suffering. So she wants your perspective as to what really life is. Does it mean that till the time we are on this earth, we are in this samsara, we'll suffer and like is that the end of it?
In Tibetan, the koragi jikdengi koa lejo. Otil tsikonzo takda jurminda tepjing nala. Deni metse lejora. Metse koran dongye re lani jurshada. Jurshada asha. Ni injin nala metse la di life lagirwa. Ani ta papsa tawarang redoya. Tenpagi ta namchinji sherabiyora. Digi ani jikdeng nada kari yoba sangma tayeba sigiresra. Ani tedawe ani sang jedi zamba tenpagi kari songyore la nasra. Jikdengi koa la ya tesra. Dungye girang shirye la songyoro as. Ta di lagyor la sayora. Tego la geshela kirangi kari songyore yesra. Jikdengi korwa la ya jora. Jikdengi koa korang sra. Dungye girang shires. Ra. Dekola ne Geshela Karisungwes. So the exact quote from my side, I think the Buddha actually didn't say life is suffering. He said that samsaric existence is marked by suffering.
제도 땅아 제대서
Dixke.
제도 코아스야 돼 가르레스는 치레르르와도 통장나도 계속 코아레 있으면 코아 말레스 계속 코아 리시 작용 말레스 이 코아 코아서 니다 버레스 코아 가르레스와 있는 리도 니모기 요니 니선주 주데라 코아스 따그리마도 레르와도 통장나서다 계속 가르레스는 코아 코사기 니다 버다 코아 쿠기기 롱주자기 니다로 차대기는 계속 코아레 있으면 코아 말레스 코아도 가서 소속 주리 지상을 본 거는 주지 마도 너지 지디도 코아 레그르에서는 말레스 도시네 되시자고 그래서는
So even when the Buddha made that statement that samsaric existence is marked by suffering, then we should not equate samsaric existence with the kind of immaterial things that we are surrounded by, mountain, rivers, and all these kind of material thing and material environment. That is not what we mean by samsaric existence. Samsaric existence means that existence which is marked by an uncontrollable cycle of being born again, being born again and again, dying again and again, and that uncontrollable cycle is what we exactly mean by samsaric existence. And this uncontrollable cycle is underlain by, as we discussed, karma and afflictions.
So I just so क्या कह रहे हैं कि बुद्धा ने ये नहीं कहा कि
코아스
हमारी
संस्कृत मे가로 संसार
Samsara मारे संस्कृत रंग तवारंग शाशायरा.
संसार में existence को उन्होंने suffering बोला था and संसार में
या संसारिक एग्जिस्टेंस वो जो पार है वो सब नहीं बोल रहे हैं हम. हाँ.
अर्थ साइकिल की जो स्टार्टिंग में बोला था कि कर्मा, राइट, अगर आपके अच्छे कर्मा होंगे देन इवेंचुअली आपको मोक्ष मिलेगा, बट इफ यू डोंट डू दैट तो आप इसी साइकिल में घूमते रहोगे, राइट, आप इसी संसार में वापस आते रहोगे एंड यू कीप ऑन सफरिंग. सो इफ यू डोंट एक्यूमुलेट, अगर आपके अच्छे कर्म नहीं होंगे तो आप जब भी आपको मोक्ष प्राप्त नहीं होगा, यू कीप ऑन कमिंग बैक. वो इज व्हाट बुद्धा सेड, which is suffering. So ultimate goal is the moksha, like, when you go out of this world and like.
아니 다 도와면 샤샤라도 수신선 말해.
So we are now at the end of the session. We'll stop here today and end the session with a dedication prayer.